this being a video that a ton of people will watch, just because it's not really my usual content, but I know that a lot of people like my whisper voice and they like to hear me just whisper ramble, so here you go. This is different than my usual content. It's gonna be just a nice, long whisper ramble about everything that I did, so yeah, sit back, relax, and just listen. I will maybe put some pictures on the screen if I feel like doing that. We'll see. But yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about it. Little overview is that I went to Switzerland to see family, and then I went on a cruise of Greece and Turkey. So lots to talk about, but let's get started. So trip started, or was supposed to start, on June 8th. June 8th was the day that we were going to fly from here to Switzerland, and then land June 9th, because it's always like a overnight flight. And where I live does not have a direct flight to Zurich, Switzerland, so we always have to fly to Washington, D.C., and then from Washington, D.C. to Zurich, Switzerland. And so we're sitting at the airport that day. We got to the airport, packed up all our stuff for this 2-week trip, sitting at the airport, and our flight to DC, not even the flight to Switzerland, but the flight to DC gets delayed like 4 hours. 4 hours, so you're supposed to leave at like 1 or something, and we left, it was gonna leave at like 5 p.m. So we were definitely going to miss our flight to Zurich, because the flight from DC to Zurich was gonna leave at like 4. Like we were gonna miss it. So we're like, crap, that sucks. So we go back out to like the ticketing counter and we're like, we need help getting on a new flight or whatever. And so the guy was like, well, we can't get you on a flight today, but we can send you tomorrow. And we were like, okay, I guess that's fine. So it sucks. That's exactly what happened to us in 2018 when we went to Europe, was that we could not leave that day and we had to go home and then come back the next day. And I can't believe it happened again. So definitely really unfortunate. They were like, yeah, just go home, come back tomorrow. So we wasted that entire day, because then we had to go to baggage claim and get our bags packed, because we had checked them to go on the flight we were going to be on, and then like we were the ones that decided to cancel the flight. It wasn't like the flight got canceled, it's just we weren't going to make our flight, so we had to cancel it. So we had to go down to baggage claim and wait for them to like manually get the bags from wherever they were in the airport and send them back, and that took 2 hours or something. So it took our entire day being at the airport, and we literally just left, went to go get some burgers at a brewery, and went home and went to bed, and then woke up the next morning and did it all again. So great, right? But the next day it went very smoothly. We actually flew to Chicago instead of DC, but doesn't really matter. So we flew to Chicago, and then we flew to Switzerland. So we got there a day late, which kind of messed up our plans. So the whole reason for this trip was to see my grandma in Switzerland. Like, if you've watched my story times about my other trips to Switzerland, like, we see my grandma, and then in 2018 we did like a little excursion to Paris. In 2022 we went to Italy. This time we were like, let's do something crazy and go to Greece. But yeah, the main reason for the trip was to go to Switzerland, and we were like, well, since we're getting there a day late, we're literally going to be in Switzerland for like 20 hours. Like, that's the whole time we're going to be there, which was crazy. So things around Zurich and then see all of our family the next day. But we ended up landing on the next day, so that was going to be our only day. So we drove from the airport to our hotel. We could not check into our hotel yet because it was like 9:30 in the morning, 10 in the morning. So we were like, do you have a bathroom? And they said, we have a bathroom in the basement. So we went to the bathroom in the basement and we changed our clothes to get ready for lunch with my grandma. So we're all dead tired, changing our clothes in a basement bathroom to go get lunch. So we do that, we change our clothes, and then we drive to where we were meeting my grandma for lunch. She's 93, so that's why we were going to Europe. It's like, we need to see her, you know? We need to see her again. So we got lunch with her. I actually was a little bit motion sick from the plane and a little car sick from the car ride, and I threw up in the restaurant bathroom. But then I felt better afterward and I ate my lunch and I was fine. So it was good. It was good to see her and everything. I thought that was bad. I thought I felt sick. You just wait till the end of the trip, okay? If you have emetophobia, don't watch the last 5 minutes of this video. But yeah, so had lunch with my grandma. It was good. We actually did not take any pictures, so I have no proof that I saw her. Oh well. Then the original plan was that after lunch we were gonna drive to Lucerne to see my dad's goddaughter and her parents, which are my dad's longtime friends from a long time ago. But because that was the day we landed and we were so tired, we were like, we're not driving to Lucerne and getting back to Zurich late at night. Like, we can't do that. So we were like, you can come meet us for dinner in Zurich, but we're not going to drive to Lucerne. So my dad's friends came and met us in Zurich, but their daughter, my dad's goddaughter, didn't come because they just got like a new puppy, which is why we were going to go to Lucerne in the first place. But we still got to see my dad's friends, so that was good. So we went back to our hotel and we slept. Well, the rest of my family slept. I don't nap, so even though I was so tired, I did not take a nap on the plane, in the hotel. So we slept a little bit and then got dressed for dinner and walked to the Zeughauskeller. That's where we always go for dinner in Zurich. It's like a big beer hall kind of place. So we got dinner there. I had the best cider of my life, or cider. It was like a sour. I get sours and ciders mixed up. I'm not a beer person, but I got this sour and it was so good. Maybe I'll put a picture of, because I took a picture of the bottle, but I loved it. I love like fruity sour stuff. So we had dinner with them and then we walked through the city to get home. So it was a nice night, like a good little taste of Switzerland, because we saw the things that we love to see in Switzerland, like the big clock tower, the view from like up on this, I don't know what you call it, but it's a nice view of Zurich. And then we went back and we went to bed and had to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go fly to Athens. So that was my 20 hours in Zurich. We were like, that's crazy that we were there for so little time, but we got to see my grandma. That's what mattered. So then we drove back to the Zurich airport and we got ready to fly to Athens. I did my schoolwork and do that, and I knew we wouldn't really have Wi-Fi when we got on the cruise. So yeah, and then we flew to Athens. Pretty uneventful. I don't think there was really anything to report with that flight, which was exactly how you want it to be. We got to Athens, and then we took an Uber to our hotel. Our hotel was so nice. We loved it. It's called the Herodian Hotel. Highly recommend staying there if you ever go to Athens. It was a fantastic hotel. So we checked in. We were starving because we had breakfast in Switzerland and then we hadn't eaten again. So we went walking. I had found on TikTok some places to eat. So we went to this like Euro stand called Teiligsto, I think. Teiligsto. And we got really good gyros that had like pork and all this good stuff in it. I think they had French fries in them. Really, really good. They were so good. So we got those. We ate our food. I'm trying to think if we did anything else that night. That afternoon, we were kind of walking around, like looking at shops, but I don't think we really shopped for stuff. We were just kind of walking around, and my brother and my dad decided to go back to the hotel before my mom and I, so they went back to the hotel to rest, and my mom and I walked around a little bit more, just kind of looking at the shops and stuff like that. And so then we were like, okay, now let's go back to the hotel. So I put the hotel in my Google Maps, like my GPS, and I'm like, okay, just follow me, Mom. The way it took us, I don't know why, it took us like up part of the Acropolis. We were like up level with the Parthenon to get back to our hotel. The hotel is super close to the Acropolis, but I was like, we did not walk up a single step to get here to these shops, so why are we like going up and over the Acropolis? I don't know. There were some pretty views, but it was like a strenuous 20-25 minute walk to get back to the hotel. And I was like, I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm not trying to do this. I'm like, it's just how my GPS is taking me. So I guess I was glad that we got to see the Acropolis, but it was just funny that it took us like up a huge hill and then down a ton of steps and all this stuff to get back to our hotel. But we made it. And then my brother and I were just like exploring our hotel a little bit. We had seen that there was a gym at the hotel on the roof, and so we're like, okay, let's go check it out, because my brother needs to work out every day and I wanted to work out. So we go up to the roof to our favorite Greek salad that we had in Greece, so it was okay. But typically I'd be against just eating at our hotel when there are so many like famous restaurants around. But we did eat at our hotel both nights just because we were so hot and sweaty, and we wanted to like shower up and have a nice cool dinner. So we ate dinner at our hotel, and then we went to bed and woke up the next morning, and first order of business was to go to the Acropolis. So we walked to the Acropolis to get tickets, and there was this lady who was like, I can get you in right now and I'll give you a tour. And we were like, okay, we'll take you up on that. Because the tickets, I think we got there at like 9 a.m. and they told us that the next tickets were for like 12:30 in the afternoon, and we didn't really want to do that. And this lady was like, I have tickets, I'll get you in right now and I'll give you a tour of the whole thing. So we said, you may do that. So we bought tickets from her, and she took us up the Acropolis. If you've never been there, there's other sights to see. There's like an amphitheater, I guess. All these other things kind of on your way up to where the Parthenon is. So she was telling us all of these stories and everything. It was actually super interesting. I remember her, like, well, she was talking about medicine and the Hippocrates. The main thing I remember her saying that was kind of cool was, you know, Athens is the birthplace of democracy, and it was like all about the people, and the rich people like put their funding into building things like the Parthenon. You know, they used their money to build things for the people and to show like the wealth of the city, I guess. And she was like, and this is why if you go to Sparta, there's nothing there, because the rich people just kept the money for themselves. Like, it wasn't a democratic state. So I just thought that was cool to think about, that like the reason there are these really cool sites and the reason that tourism is such an industry in Athens is because the rich people thousands of years ago like put the money into making these things. I don't know. I thought that was cool. But she took us up, and then we saw the Parthenon. We took some good pictures of the Parthenon. Hopefully I'll put some in here. You probably know what it looks like. But yeah, it was really fun to be up there. There were so many people. But another thing that tour guides said that resonated with me was, she was like, I know it's really busy today, or like, don't be upset about the crowds because we're part of the crowds. She was like, when I lead tours up here, like, I'm part of the crowds. I can't be mad at there being so many people. And that's kind of how I felt too, was like, these other people aren't bad for like choosing to go at the same time I did. Like, we should all be in this together and enjoying the fact that we're all here to see the Acropolis at the same time. Yeah. So we did that, and from like walking up the hill, there's this other mountain hill thing that you can see that has this little structure on the top, and she was telling us that it was where, what's his name? Philippopos or something. Philippopos. Something like that, where he's buried. I don't even remember. But it was a hill with a big structure on it, and my brother and I were like, we gotta get up there. After we're done here, we gotta get up there. So after the Parthenon, we walked down, and we were like, walk towards that structure. So we're just walking towards it, and we go, and we're like, okay, I guess we can go up here. So we kind of climbed this hill, this like rocky hill, and we actually made it up there to that little structure, and the view of the Parthenon was so beautiful. Like, I enjoyed that view of the Acropolis from afar better than I enjoyed the view of, like, from up on the Acropolis. So, super cool. If you ever go to Athens, see the Parthenon, but then go up this other hill, and look at the Parthenon from there, because it was really cool. And the other thing that I said, and my family was like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, was that everything looked way farther away than it was. Like, when we were up on that second hill, the Acropolis looked so far away. Like, it looked like it was in a different city. But I was like, we just walked up here in like 15 minutes. I don't know. It was pretty crazy how close together everything was, but it looked very vast. I don't know. But then we went down and we found a really good place for lunch. It was so good. It was called Erato. If you want, like, the names of places I went, you can comment and I'll tell you, but it was so good. We just got, like, skewers, like, souvlaki, chicken and pork souvlaki with fries and pita. It was just, I love Greek food so much. So we had that. Then we went to the Acropolis Museum. They have a museum across from the Acropolis, so we went there. It really didn't take very long. It just had some sculptures, artifacts, things like that. I guess I'd recommend to see it, but maybe we were just really tired by that point. I don't know. We weren't in there for very long. The one thing that was funny was that they gave me a discount for being under 25, because they asked if I was under 25, and I was like, yep, I am, even though I'm exactly 25. I just thought that was a funny age to be like, yeah, people under 25 get a discount. I don't know. But I got in for cheaper. And then after seeing the Acropolis Museum, we went back to the hotel. I have a lot of energy on vacations. I don't nap. The rest of my family, big nappers, big let's go back to the room people. I was not in the mood. So I went back out and I did a little bit of shopping on my own. I bought a snow globe because I decided I'm collecting snow globes. I bought a keychain and I bought sunglasses because I did not own a pair of sunglasses, and boy am I glad that I bought sunglasses before our cruise. Desperately needed them, so got that. Then I came back and we got ready for dinner and we ate dinner at our hotel again. And my gosh, the view from the hotel was just beautiful. You can see the Acropolis perfectly. That's the hotel you should stay at if you go to Athens. Yeah. So then we went to bed again, and the next day was the day that we boarded our cruise. So we were really excited to get on our cruise. We had to take an Uber to the port because the port is actually kind of far from like the city center of Athens. But we drove to the port. Pretty easy to get on the cruise. We just had to like show our passports and got on the cruise. It was great. Went straight to our room. And then my brother and I spent the afternoon exploring the ship. We were like, we want to see every inch of this thing, every inch of the ship. And it was funny because obviously the first thing my brother wanted to see was the gym. So we go up to the top to see the gym, but you had to go through the spa of the ship to get to the gym. So we walk into the spa, and I guess on the first day, everybody's priority is like selling you stuff and showing you stuff that you can do on the cruise. So there were these ladies that were like, can we give you a tour of the spa? And my brother and I are like, okay. So she gives us a tour of the entire spa. She has us lay in these chairs that are like heated, so nice. Had us go in the sauna. We're like, there's no way we're paying for spa treatments. We just wanted to see the gym, but we let her show us everything. And then we actually saw the gym, and we went exploring some of the other things. The main thing we were doing was trying to figure out how the next day was gonna go, because while we were in Athens, we knew that our first full day on the cruise, we were gonna be in Santorini, the island of Santorini. And a couple days earlier, my brother and I decided to book an excursion in Santorini where we would ride ATVs across Santorini. This excursion was not through the cruise company. It was private in Santorini, because the cruise didn't offer anything like that, any like activity type excursion. And I see now why you book like excursions through the cruise, because it is completely on the cruise company to get you there and tell you where to be and get you back to the ship on time and all of that. Whereas with a private excursion, it's like, you know, it's not like insured, you know, you don't know really what you're getting into. So we had seen on our cruise app that we were gonna dock in Santorini at 7 a.m. So we booked the ATV excursion for 9:30. I don't think they even had a later option, but we were like, the 9:30, that should work fine if we're docking at 7. But then the excursion was emailing us, and they were like, if you want us to pick you up for the excursion, we need to pick you up at 8:40, which is much earlier than 9:30. So they said they'd pick us up in the town of Fira, which is the capital of Santorini, at 8:40. So we knew we had to be up there at 8:40. Then what we find out is that the port of Santorini, the big cruise ships cannot actually dock there, like on land. They have to dock off land, like anchor in the water, and then they have to send boats from Santorini to come pick up passengers and take them to the island. And then once you get to the island, you have to take a cable car up to the actual town, because Santorini is a caldera. It's like a huge cliff. So the town is way up here, but the water is way down here. So you have to take a boat to the island, and then you have to take a cable car up, or you have to walk up 600 steps. So we find all this out, and we find out that even though the ship is docking at 7, tender boats are not going to be taking passengers to the island until 8. So we're freaking out. Is it possible for us to get off the ship at 8, get to the island, take a cable car up, and be in the town at 8:40? We did not, like, we had fully accepted that it was not going to happen. It was not going to be possible for us to do that. We thought, even if we get on the first tender boat, like, there's no guarantee that that is actually at 8 a.m. There's, like, we're probably not gonna be just have to try our best to get there. So the next morning we wake up super early, because you could get tickets for the tender to like be first in line starting at 7 a.m. So we needed to be first in line. So we woke up and we went and stood in the line at 6:30. We're standing there with these other people that are also freaking out. So that was a pleasant surprise that there were so many other people that booked other private excursions, and they were like, we have to be off of here by 8, we have to be off of here by 8:20. Like, you know, everybody was freaking out. They did not start giving out the tickets at 7, so we had lost all hope that they were actually gonna send a boat at 8 because they were not giving out tickets at 7. They finally gave us tickets at like 7:30, and they said, okay, go to deck 5 of the ship, and that's where they'll tell you that like it's time for your tender group to go. So we go to deck 5 to the dining room, and we're again talking to this other couple that happens to live like right near where we live in the States, and they needed to get off the ship for this horseback riding excursion, so they were in the same boat as us. But we're talking to them, and 8 o'clock passes, and we're like, this is not happening. It's past 8, and we are on deck 5 of the ship. So it was like 8:15, so we had to be in Fira, the capital, in 25 minutes. 8:15, they say, okay, group 1, you can go to your tender. So we're like, okay, we're getting on a boat. So we go down and we get on the boat at 8:15. My brother and I sit right by the exit of the boat. Like, we had to sit right at the exit, so we were the first ones off of it to go to the cable car. And we're sitting there on the boat, and we didn't know what like the line was gonna be like for the cable car, so we're saying we will walk up these 600 stairs. Like, we will sprint up 600 stairs if it means that we get to this ATV excursion. And this couple next to us heard us talking, and the guy was like, you know you'd be hiking up a caldera, right? And he goes, have you ever hiked up a caldera before? Like, he's trying to tell us you're gonna die if you try to hike up 600 stairs, like sprint up. But we were like, we're willing to do it. Anyway, the boat drops us off at the island at like 8:26, we'll say. And we run to where the cable cars are, and to our surprise, we are the first people on the cable car. First ones on the cable car. So we go get in one, we get in the cable car, and we're like, if this thing takes off in the next 3 minutes, like, we can actually make it. We had given up all hope, but we're like, I think we could actually do this. So sure enough, the cable car takes us up. We get to the top. I put this McDonald's in my GPS because they told us to meet outside a McDonald's, and we sprint there, and we made it there at 8:38. 2 minutes to spare. We made it to this McDonald's, and we were so excited, like, had fully accepted that we were not gonna go on this excursion, and we made it. And the van pulls up, and it picks us up to take us to the excursion, and we were so happy. We were like, all right, that made the trip for us. Like, whatever else happens, it's just doesn't matter anymore, because we made it. And after we made it, we were like, oh my gosh, I hope all the other people we talked to today like also made their excursions. And it was at some point later in the trip that we were just walking that was great. Yeah, so the van took us like across Santorini to where this excursion was taking place, and we were basically in this like gravel lot where they taught us how to ride the ATVs. I decided I'm not going to ride it. My brother is going to ride it, and I'm gonna sit on the back. So it was all of the men, because it was a bunch of couples. It was my brother and I, and then like 6 other couples. So they thought we were dating. We were like, we're brother and sister. But they taught all the men how to ride the ATVs, and the women just chatted about where we were from and all of that jazz. And then we started off on our ATV tour, and they first drove us by like this black sand beach. I think it's like the only flat place on the island, like where the water comes right up to the land. I don't know. Rather than being a cliff. They took us there, and then they took us to this tiny little village. I think it was called Emporio, where there was this castle that they wanted to show us, and we got off the ATVs and we walked up this little village, and it was so tiny, like you could not drive any sort of vehicle through there. It was, the streets in between buildings were like a sidewalk, like a little tiny sidewalk. It was crazy. And it was so fun because it felt so secluded, like we were the only people there. This tour was the only people there. So that was really cool. It felt like we were getting a really exclusive, like local experience. But they showed us this castle, and then we got back on the ATVs and we drove to this really pretty lookout. It's like this hole in the what's the rock? I think it was like not limestone, pumice. It was pumice, so it's like really porous. But there's this hole in it where you can stand and look out at the water. I'll try to put a picture again of my brother and I. But it's like the hole apparently used to be a heart shape, but because people like would grab onto it, it kind of like eroded away into just a circle because it's such a porous material. But we saw that. It was a beautiful view, and then we drove to another little town called Megalochori, another quiet little town, and they were like, we're gonna get some food here. And the funny part, so the whole tour was being led by these 2 guys. We thought maybe they're brothers. It was being led by these 2 guys riding the ATVs, and they take us to this little cafe. They're like, everybody sit down, everybody sit at this cafe, and the 2 guys pull out notepads and they come around and they're like, what would you like to drink? So they were the waiters too. We were like, what? Do you work here? It was so funny. But we got some like fresh squeezed lemonade, and they brought us some little tomatoes and feta and cucumbers and stuff, and we just ate there. And then I think we got back on the ATVs and we drove back to where we started. So it was like a 3.5 hour tour. It was really fun. I forgot to say that my parents did not go on it. I guess that was clear. They thought about it. They were like, I guess we'll go if you guys really want to. But then by the time we got around to booking it, they only had 2 spots left. So we were like, we're taking them. You guys can do whatever you want. So we did it alone. But then we got off, and the van was gonna take us back, and a bunch of the people we were on the tour with were were staying in Ia, which is the town at the other end of the island, which is the very like picturesque one with the blue domes and the cliffs. Like it's what you see if you look up Santorini is Ia. And we were like, can we just stay in the van and take it all the way there to Ia, because we wanted to see it anyway. So they drove us all the way there. We were like, this is great that we got a free, van ride all the way. So we met our parents in Ia, and we were walking around, taking pictures, going in shops. It was really fun, and we got a really good lunch. We got this like whole fried octopus. We ordered the fried squid, I think it said, and we were like, cool, calamari. It was an entire fried octopus. But really good lunch, and we did some shopping. It was just a really picturesque part of the island. I actually have it right here. I bought this. It was from a local artist, which I thought was cool that it's not something like mass produced, but it's this wooden plank. It's literally just like a piece of wood. And it's painted with a picture of Santorini on it. So I was literally like looking at this view, and I went in and bought this from a local artist. So, love it. It took me so long to pick which one I liked because they're all different, so no one will ever have one exactly like mine, which I love. Oh, I forgot to say that at the end of the tour, at the end of the ATV thing, they gave me this bracelet. They were like, the brothers or whoever were like, we have a gift only for the ladies, and they gave us these bracelets with the eye on it. It's like the evil eye. It's a big thing in Greece and Turkey. Ignore my Apple Watch tan. But yeah, got a little bracelet, which was good because I bought a different bracelet in Santorini, and my brother ended up leaving it in the nightstand at on our cruise ship. So I do not have that bracelet anymore, but at least I have this one. And from that day, I also got a really bad farmer's tan. I think it's getting better, but you can see, you probably already noticed it, but I was wearing a t-shirt that day, so I got a bad farmer's tan. And then later in the cruise, I tried to even it out, so I was like, I'm gonna put sunscreen only on the part that got tan and let the rest, but I think I put it up too far. Like, I put the sunscreen up to here, and so then this part got tan and this is still tan, and I have a white stripe. So that's what that is that I had a farmer's tan and I sunscreened too far, and then yeah, so don't make fun of me. But yeah, that was the best day of the trip by far. I think the ATVs, walking through Ia, it was the best. And then we got back on the ship. We had to do it all in reverse. We had to we actually ended up walking down the 600 steps instead of taking the cable car, because there was such a long line for the cable car. So we just walked down the 600 steps, almost slipped and donkeyed poop a lot, but we made it, and we got back on the boat and got to the ship, and it was good. Not much else to report there. Okay. The next day we were in Ephesus, Turkey. So another new country. I'd never been to Greece or Turkey before, and we booked an excursion there through the cruise. So it was nice and low stress to, like, they took us where we needed to go. It was great. But yeah, so Ephesus Ephesus, I did not put it together that, like, Ephesians from the Bible is from Ephesus. I hadn't even heard of Ephesus before we went there, but city in Turkey. And we basically just did this tour where they walk you through ancient Ephesus. It's like an ancient town that it's been excavated, and like she even said, if you come back in the future, like it'll probably look different because more of it will have been excavated. So it was pretty cool. It was just like a very historical day. We saw a bunch of cats. There are so many stray cats and dogs there, which is kind of sad, but was also fun too. I don't know. I love cats. There was one picture, I'll try to find it again, where it was like the old ancient toilets that they used in ancient Ephesus, like these marble toilet seats, and there just happened to be a stray cat that was sitting on the toilet seat with his hand down in it. We were like, ew. But that was funny. And then after that, they took us back near the port where our ship dropped us off, and they took us to a Turkish carpet demonstration. Turkish carpets are the big thing there. They have people that are weaving these carpets and like tying thousands and thousands of knots to make these rugs. They're really nice. So we saw a whole demonstration of the process, which was super cool. And we didn't realize that we were kind of going to get cornered into like buying them. My brother really, really wanted one. He went into it wanting a carpet that he could hang on the wall. I was on the fence. I was like, maybe I'll get one, but they're really expensive because it takes people months and months and months to make them by hand. But they closed my family in a room, like closed the doors behind them, and they were trying to sell us these carpets. I bought one. I'm weak. So this was definitely the most money I spent on a souvenir. They kind of pressured me into it because my brother had already decided on one, and they gave him a price, and he was like, I want it. And they told me, if you buy one, I'll knock $50 off both of your prices. So then I felt bad because I was like, I don't want my brother to have to pay more if I don't get one. But I chose one I liked. It's small. It's like the size of a bath mat, but it's like blue and black and has a pretty design on it. So that is my Turkish carpet, handmade. Yes, very nice. It takes them so long because, like, look at these. Like how many knots they had to tie to make that is crazy. But it's pure silk. Super nice. Yeah, just not gonna get off the ship the first day. We're gonna enjoy the ship to ourselves, which is exactly what we did, and it was really fun. We were at the pool by ourselves. We got to go do whatever we wanted, so we kind of just had our own little sea day, and it was really fun. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything. We just kind of like swam in the pool. I tried to even out my farmer's tan, didn't do too well. All of that. We did I was so excited, you guys, to do trivia on the cruise because they have so much trivia, and I was like, I'm gonna kill it. I've been training for this, you guys know. And so on that day, they had a name that country shape trivia. Can you think of a better category for me? That's such a good category. So I go with my dad to this trivia. We are the only ones there. Nobody else showed up. So that was upsetting. But I did it anyway. She was like, you can still do it. And I did the trivia. I missed one. There were 25 country shapes, and I missed one. And it was Sweden. And I looked at her, and I was like, this is not Sweden. The country, it was like a lump. It looked like a circle. And she was like, you got this one wrong. It's Sweden. And I was like, honey, that ain't Sweden. But it didn't matter because I was unopposed. So, yeah, but we just enjoyed the rest of the day by the pool. And then the next day was our big Istanbul day. And we booked a private tour with this lady. So that was super fun. That we got to have like a more local experience, I guess, than doing something with the cruise. So she met up with us right outside where our cruise docked, and she took us on the tram. So we rode the tram with people that live in Istanbul, and we rode to where the Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque are. She gave us a tour inside the Hagia Sophia. I had to buy a headscarf because you have to cover your hair if you're a woman going into the mosques. So I bought this outside the Hagia Sophia. It's like cashmere, supposedly. Maybe I should have bought something that goes well with things I wear, but I don't really see myself wearing it much anyway, but I thought it was a cool souvenir. But she gave us a tour of the Hagia Sophia, and then we walked over to the Blue Mosque, and she let us go in there and kind of gave us a tour. There's not much to tour, it's more just standing in there and taking it all in, but both of those were beautiful. Really cool to see and cool to learn facts about. Then I think we went to lunch, and that was when it got really fun because she was like, okay, I'm gonna take you to this lunch place I like, and she was like, do you mind if I eat with you guys? And we were like, of course not, please eat with us. And so we just got to ask her questions about her life and hang out with her, which was fun. It felt very like we were just hanging out with a local for the day, which was cool. We got a really good meal at a restaurant in Istanbul, so that was actually our only meal in Turkey. Yeah, our only local meal in Turkey. That's the one thing about a cruise is you don't really eat a whole lot in the places you go to. But we got lunch, and then she took us and showed us the Basilica Cistern, which is an underground. It was used for storing water. That was super cool. It was so cold down there, and it was just really cool. I really liked it down there, and we only got to see it because the Topkapi Palace is closed on Tuesdays, and we happened to be there cistern, which was awesome. Then we went to the Grand Bazaar, which is like 4,000 shops. It's like a maze of shops. So if you want to buy anything Turkish, like that's the place to do it. But it was very, very, very overwhelming. I was like, I can't stay in here for longer than like a half hour. But I did buy a cat. I love him. Because we saw so many cats in Greece and Turkey, I wanted to buy a ceramic cat. And this one I found at the Grand Bazaar, and it has the evil eyes on it, which I thought was so cool. So, yeah, I love him. What should I name him? Maybe I'll name him after, or her. She can be a her. I'll name her after our tour guide in Turkey. But, yeah, that's what I bought at the Grand Bazaar. And then it was fun because we got out of there and she was like, well, we technically saw everything that, like, you know, we were supposed to see on your tour, but what else do you want to do? She's like, are you still good? Like, you can go back to the ship, but we could also do something else. We were like, sure, take us to do something else. So she took us on the tram to another part of town. I don't know what it was called, but they have these like rainbow umbrellas lining the street. I'll try and put a picture of that in, and if you know what this like area of Istanbul is called, let me know, because it was really fun. So she was walking us through there, and we got Turkish coffee, which will keep you awake for days. And then we went to a different place and got really good baklava, and that just topped off the day very nicely. It was very fun. We got back on the ship, and yeah, that was Istanbul. So definitely Santorini and Istanbul are places I'd love to come back and explore deeper, but super cool to see them. The next day on the ship was a sea day, so we pretty much just swam and hung out. Pretty fun. We did do the rock climbing wall that was on the ship. My brother and I went to general knowledge trivia, and I was heavily disappointed. I just remember the lady that was running it, she didn't speak a ton of English. I also know that she didn't seem like she really knew any of the trivia. She was just like, I'm gonna read these words to these people. And I remember she was like, what is the largest island in the world and the fourth largest in Africa? And everyone was like, that makes no sense. And she was like, I'll read it again for you. What is the largest island in the world and the fourth largest in Africa? And we were like, do you want two answers? Are these two different questions? Like, that makes no sense. And it took like 5 times of us telling her that it made no sense for her to be like, oh, it actually says the fourth largest in the world and largest in Africa. So the trivia was stupid. Answer is Madagascar, by the way. And even the people that won, because we got like 10 questions right, and I think someone else got 11, and the people that won, she was like, congratulations, you win a free dessert at the buffet, which is already free. So stupid. If you are on a cruise, you should give people like prizes, at least like a free drink or something. I don't know, but whatever. And then that night was our big fancy dinner. This is not something my family normally would do, but they booked this dinner called the Chef's Table, and chef makes you like 6 or 7 courses of food. Crazy. Really fun though. It was a really fun experience to get to do that. And I did keep my menu because they had these menus that had her name on them. I'm gonna cover up my last name, but my first name is Pamela. You already know that. Pamela, June 18th, 2025. And these were her menus. Look at this menu, you guys. Course 1, scallop carpaccio. And every course had a wine pairing, which I was drunk, okay? Scallop carpaccio, smoked tomato soup, Maine lobster salad, roasted branzino, grilled filet mignon, and then dessert was this like one of those chocolate ball molds that had a bunch of stuff in it. I don't even know what it had in it. Peanut butter ganache, chocolate mousse, gelato, and they came by and like poured a hot sauce on it so that the ball melts. So fun. And it came with a salted caramel espresso martini. So that was a super fun experience. Kind of a once in a lifetime thing. Like, I would never pay for myself to do that, but we thought it would be a fun thing to do on this big trip. So yeah, and then the next day was our last full day on the ship, and we were in Mykonos. We actually did not have the best time. We didn't book anything. We just got off and we like tried to find bus tickets so that to take us to a beach. So we went to Elia Beach, but like we bought tickets for the bus, and then my mom and my brother got on, and my dad and I were standing there, and the bus driver was like, all full, sorry, take the next one. So my dad and I didn't get on the first bus, and so we waited for like a half hour while my mom and brother were at the beach for another bus to come. I was like, don't sell more tickets than you can take. I don't know. We finally got to the beach. It was just really hot and sandy and full of people. There were also a lot of people in the nude, which suit yourself. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think we were just over it. We were like tired of, we just wanted to go home. So, it wasn't that great. A lot of people in Mykonos, very party-ish. So, I don't know. I was glad we got a beach day, but that was about it. And then we got back on the ship and we had to pack our asses off because we had so much stuff. Like, we bought 3 carpets. That's a lot of packing that you have to do to pack 3 carpets in your suitcase. So yeah, it was a lot. We packed, and then the next morning so this was the beginning of probably the worst day of my life. If you don't want to hear the stressful stuff and talk about vomit, you can close out, but I will tell you how my travel day went. So, woke up at 5:30 in the morning in Athens, which, keep in mind, is 10:30 at night where I live, like here. So, yeah, waking up at 5:30 in the morning. We get off the ship, we get to the airport. Our flight was supposed to be at 11:45, so that was why we woke up early to like get some breakfast, get off the ship. It took us an hour and a half to get to the airport in an Uber, so long time. So yeah, woke up very early. We get to the airport. is delayed. So our flight from Athens to Washington, D.C. this time was delayed. And so, yet again, we were going to miss our flight from D.C. to home. So, when we checked in, they were like, we have to rebook you on a different flight from D.C. Because you're gonna miss that one. So, rather than us getting home at like 7 p.m., they were like, we have to book you on a 10:30 p.m. flight from DC. So we're like, great, we're gonna get home at 2 in the morning now. Yeah. So that sucked. Our flight even ended up getting delayed more from Athens, I think. They also did this weird thing. It was so weird. So we go to our gate for our flight from Athens. We're sitting there, we're at the gate. All of a sudden, this guy comes in and he's telling us to get up and leave. And we're like, what? And all these people around us are like, why? Like, we're at our gate. This is our gate. We board in like 30 minutes. Why are you telling us to get up? And he was like, just get up. Couldn't tell us why. I don't know. So we all go out of this room, and then they have us like scan our passports to get back in to the gate. I don't know if they just like didn't want to scan our passports as we were getting on the flight, so they decided to scan them for us to get into the gate. But I'm like, why didn't you do that in the first place? I don't know. It was stressful. Finally get on our flight. It was an 11.5-hour flight. So long. So long. I started feeling sick partway through the flight. I was in row 52 of the plane, and by the time they got to me, they didn't have any options left for the meal. So they were like, here's your lentil stew. The only option they had left was like the vegan lentil stew, which was not good. So I didn't eat it, and then I think I got like too hungry without having any food, and then the motion, I just like felt very sick by the end of the flight. But we finally land in DC, we get off, and I'm still like not feeling good. My family wanted to eat dinner. I was like, I'm gonna go lay down at the gate, like I cannot eat. And we had like a 5-hour layover. And so I'm losing my train of thought. This has been a long video. We had like a 5-hour layover. I'm trying to sleep. I'm trying not to throw up. I feel very sick. Finally, it's like 20 minutes before boarding, you guys, and yes, this is the perfect time for me to throw up. So I start feeling super sick. I'm like, it's coming out, and so I run to the bathroom. I throw up in the airport bathroom, come back just in time to board, but I'm like, I'm about to throw up again. So I get on the plane, and I immediately go to the bathroom on the plane, and I throw up again. I'm sitting, luckily, thank God, my mom and dad got upgraded to first class. They were supposed to be in row 1, and my dad gave his seat to me, so I got to sit with my mom in row 1, which was very nice because I had a lot of space. Like no one was in front of me. I felt very secluded, like I could throw up in peace. But then there was a mechanical issue, so we're on the ground for like a half hour. I throw up like 5 times in that half hour. Finally, we get off the ground. I threw up in the air, threw up again in the air. I threw up after we landed. We got to the gate, and I throw up again. And people are like getting off the plane as I'm throwing up into a bag, it's like, just leave, just ignore me. So I can't explain enough how horrible that was. By this point, I've been awake for 30 hours. Like I said, we woke up at what would have been 10:30 p.m. where I live, and we landed at like 1:30 in the morning. So, a long time. Finally we get home. I crash. I was out of commission for like 4 days. Not good. So, I'm finally feeling better. I don't know what happened, but thankful to be on the ground and home, and I never want to see another airplane again. So, I'm sure I'll decide that I want to go on trips again, but for now, I never want to see another airplane. So, yeah. That was my trip. Yeah, that was my trip. Oh, something else that was funny about the cruise. So apparently there's this company called Scentsy, like Scent, Scentsy, Scentsy. It's like a company that sells like essential oils and stuff, and I guess it's one of those things where people sign up to like be sellers for them, like to sell their products. I don't know, but they were apparently taking 1,000 people, over 900 people, on this cruise that I was on as like a reward for sales. So the whole trip we were surrounded by all this Scentsy stuff. It was crazy. We didn't find out till the end how many people there actually were, like that there were 900 something, and my brother and I kept joking because we saw Scentsy everywhere, and we were like, what if we're the only people on this cruise that aren't from Scentsy? And we were like, what if this is like a social experiment, like the Truman Show, or like that show Jury Duty, where they're like filming us and trying to see how long it takes for us to realize we're the only non-Scentsies. I don't know. That's the kind of things my brother and I joke about. I don't know. But yeah, so if you were on a cruise with 1,000 people from a company called Scentsy, I was there too. Let me know. Or if you know what Scentsy is, or you sell for them, let me know. I was on a cruise with all your peeps. So yeah, it also made me like, I'm never gonna go on a cruise again where it's a reward trip for a company, because it did feel very like they were taking over the whole cruise, and I felt like, am I supposed to be here? Like, why am I even on this cruise if I'm not from Scentsy? So, I don't know. Maybe take a smaller group if you're gonna do that, but, yeah, that was my trip. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. I don't know. It's been a while since I got home, so maybe I did leave stuff out, but hope you enjoyed this video, this long story